Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Daddy Isekai to sit you all down and talk about one of the coolest Isekai you probably have not watched. I'm gonna give a little spoiler-free explanation, then we're gonna jump into probably one of the craziest Isekai plot twists I've ever seen. This show is called How a Realist Hero Rebuilt a Kingdom. It's 26 episodes long. Probably should have 5 more seasons with the bombshell it dropped in its final episode. But this show has been absolutely remarkable, and I've been watching it for basically 26 weeks over on Patreon. Of course, you can catch the full live reactions over there if you're interested, but this show is one of the best cases of politics and a dude running a kingdom who is isekai'd with a large assortment of wives and concubines and harem bullshit in it. Because every step of the way, this dude, he's very normal, but he's intelligent. He probably read a lot of philosophy books. He has a good idea of how governments and systems can work. And being thrown into a kingdom, food shortages, political turmoil. I mean, a kingdom of this size, it's reasonable to assume your MC is not going to be able to run this kingdom. But when seemingly the last king wasn't the best at doing it, and this dude has better ideas than him, he says, here's the driver's keys, you're now in charge of the kingdom. You want my daughter to go ahead. Sounds kind of like a silly Isekai plotline. Everything's just going to magically work out. I promise you, it's more than that silly plotline. But it's really good because it just understands teamwork, cooperation, and when bad things happen, it makes sense. And the way he ultimately utilizes this kingdom and kind of rejuvenates them, right? This is his main fiance, wife number one. The harem dynamic in the show is actually really funny because, like, the only time someone doesn't join the harem is when basically they already have a partner lined up, or there's an excuse for them to be away from the kingdom, because basically every woman ends up as like wife number 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's like, and they're all like, well, this is how the kingdom works. I get a little jealous. Her entire thing is she allows anyone to join the harem as long as she can trust them, because she doesn't want anyone to potentially compete for her spot, because you don't want someone, wife number 2, being power hungry and then killing you so that she becomes wife number 1. It's a really funny dynamic. Even if you don't really like politics, you're gonna really like this show because it dumbs it down in a way that even people who don't like like, the best way I could sum it up, I don't like sports. I don't like playing sports. I don't like watching sports in real life, but I can watch sports anime when they make it entertaining for the non-sports audience member. Same thing here. Even if you're not into politics, you're going to get something out of this, but if you're into politics, you're going to get a lot out of it. Now, spoiler warning over. We're going fucking raw. We're going balls deep. I'm catching all the fucking diseases as I dive headfirst into the anus of this show because it's that fucking tasty. This woman right here is a ReZero character. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not clickbaiting you. That is a ReZero character. So, bro, at the end of the last episode, decided to reevaluate the whole show. The one thing I think I could have accepted criticism for when it came to the logic of the show is, why should a king randomly hand the driver's keys to a fucking bum he just met, even if that bum has good ideas? Turns out that's not how he did it the first time. Instead, he made that man prime minister in one of the timelines. Yeah, there's timelines. So this woman's ability as the ability to send memories back to earlier versions of yourself. Meaning that when kingdoms go on fire, ultimately you can say, what should we tell our past selves to hopefully do a do-over? That's fucking insane to drop in the last episode. This man, I have been convinced, has spent the entirety of this show clapping his hot wife's cheeks in his bedroom, which I do still think is likely in terms of what's happening. But the reason he separated himself from the main character, because of the fact that he knew him in control caused everything to burn in a previous timeline, is so interesting. And apparently the internet had a trouble keeping up with this when this aired, at least according to some people I've talked to, which, you know, the internet and paying attention, name a better duo that doesn't work out. But it's so interesting, man. So the fact that we're telling this story, right? It starts off by, he's like, hey, I'll tell you about this like story of a king. And it's like, oh man, it sounds like you're talking about yourself, because yeah, he clearly was. The fact that it's not time travel in the way that you normally think, it's basically, I think, the best way to do it. You live a life, you send memories back to your past selves. Then, in return, that branches them into a new timeline. You still complete yours, but it branches these ones into a new one. It's a really cool way to do it. And I think the interesting thing is learning that this wasn't, like, this was the first time for him, seemingly. But for her, she literally says, like, this was the first time she had a husband where she got this far in her life. The first time she had a kid. The fact that this woman, I need a spin-off on just her. I need to see her ReZero shenanigans. Unironically, like, it's that interesting. When we sit down for tea time with the former king and his hot wife, I'm not expecting a ReZero plot twist. But the thing is often with these shows, the Isekai MC ends up in total control because he's the Isekai MC. The number of times we as anime fans, whether we're Isekai trash or not, bitch and moan that the MC only has a bajillion women slobbing on his knob because he's the MC, not because he has any redeemable traits. You know, if I got paid a nickel for every time one of those shows existed, I'd be Elon Musk already. But at the end of the day, I was willing to overlook the fact because I just thought the king was stupid. Like, that has been my justification this whole time. I thought he was incompetent. I thought he wasn't suited for the throne. And when bro is speaking about economics in a way that goes over his head, he says, bitch, you're better than me at this. Turns out, it was more than him being an idiot. He was an idiot king in a way, but he had good intentions. And the fact that when you hear about how bad things were, where basically everything gets burned alive, the daughter dies, all this shit, it's such an engaging plot twist because here's the thing. I wasn't sure how they're going to end this show. And I think the way they ended by the end of episode 26, if they never made more Realist Hero, it is a very satisfying ending. Because it feels like all these timelines, this is basically what happens. The kingdom always gets destroyed, where for the first time, not only did we avoid these moments, it feels like Soma's the type of character who will face many hardships, many wars, many economic struggles, but will always find a way to prevent this. We might not see a full adaptation of the show, but we can tell this is the timeline. Now, a sick part of me kind of hopes that if we were to get another 26 episodes of the show, Soma does reach this point and actually has to use that ability on himself to send his own memories back. I think that'd be interesting. Maybe that'd be too dark for some people, I don't know. But either way, these are the types of plot twists you don't see often. Sure, ReZero exists. ReZero is my favorite isekai, mind you. But that happens at the start very quickly. You're not expecting this. Every part of me wants to make the title of this video the ReZero plot twist you're not expecting, but I'm not an asshole. I want people to check this out who haven't already. That's why we got chapters. That's why you got the spoiler warnings. This is insane. And I think my favorite part about the whole episode and the whole turn of events is what he ends up telling the former king and his wife, the queen. Bro basically says, like, did you ever find their bodies? Because the daughter ends up burned and everything like that, and they're like, no, everything was ash. And he basically gives them hope that in that former timeline, while maybe the kingdom couldn't be saved, most likely himself and potentially even the daughter, his wife, could have lived. I think it's such a nice thing because the talent of these two that we've seen over 26 episodes does make it seem like they would prevent their own deaths. There's so many plot twists, there's so many twists and turns that you're not expecting, and it's actually insane how good the show is. So, on Patreon, we have a viewer's choice tier where you can, get me to directly watch something of your choosing, and the patron in question, Backslash, who funded this, I believe it's their favorite isekai. And over the course of it, I was like, I really like this show a lot, but I wouldn't say it's anywhere close to my favorite, but I understand with this final episode why it could be your favorite isekai. It is unironically that good, guys. Like, I'm not even joking. This has been an amazing ride. It's one of my favorite isekai I've seen, for sure. I'm not sure if it'd be a top 10 for me, but I could understand why I'd put it in a top 10 if I really thought and kind of sat down. As someone who loves politics, both in real life and in my anime, but also loves time travel and well thought out character arcs, this was great. And the harem element was fucking hilarious. It was borderline 100 girlfriends at times, and I loved that. If you want to catch my full live reactions to every single episode, though, we did cover it in full over on Patreon, full and cut unblurred live reactions. And hey, if you're already over on my Patreon, I'll even give you a video shout out because my patrons will make these videos possible. Alright, so today we got Edvar, Golden Angel, Asurin, Ashura, Thrilled Access, 709, SW Me, Ginger King, Nano Dog, and Durhosh. I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Watch Realist Hero. Have a good one.